Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another live from SLOPED. I now have to make this live on YouTube, and I've gone and done it. So, if you recall in not the last time I streamed, but the time before that, and the time before that, possibly the time before that too, I have been creating a millwork drawing set for a little cottage that my partner and I are building, and I'm using SketchUp and LayOut to do the whole thing. So I'm just in the middle of a cut through right now of my SketchUp model, and I have my whole drawing set up here. And if you don't know anything about SLOPED, we are a company who tests and certifies people. Oh wait, Kendall's burner says there's an echo, so let me try to address this in uno momento. Can you tell me now if there's an echo still? I tried doing something. I don't know if it worked. Okay, I'm going to continue on as though there's no echo until I'm told there is. In the meantime, I was mentioning that SLOPED is, we are a company of 3 founders, and we help test and certify. We test and certify people who say that they are pros in layout and SketchUp, but specifically layout, and we test them on their skills, and if they qualify and become certified through our examination process, then we match them up with businesses who also have a full SketchUp workflow and need help. And I'm actually one of those businesses, and so are the 2 other founders. Sometimes we use SLOPED professionals for our businesses, those being architecture, interior design, and cabinet shop engineered drawings. Okay, so right now I'm just going to flip through, give you a review of what happened last time and where I'm at with this drawing set. So again, it is for our little cottage. So the first piece of millwork that we built is a window bench with 2 drawers. So the way I've laid it out is that there's a little perspective drawing, there's an elevation, a plan above it, and then a detail on part of that elevation, just to specify some thicknesses and heights and everything. And then I have the exact same thing for an entry bench that has a shelf for coats and has hooks for coats and a shelf for other stuff, and then shoe storage below. And same thing, plan, elevation, and some details. I'm just reading a message from Keith now. Echo is what I'm going to talk about. My hands took over. I actually don't know how to change my audio at this point. I feel like I've tried everything, so I just don't know. It likes the rounded corners on my blow. Cool, thanks. Yeah, I'm just going to try 1 or 2 other audio things, but I really don't think that I know what I'm doing enough to make a difference. I'm going to try 1 more thing. Okay, I've tried the very last thing. Please let me know if it worked. Okay. Alright, so yes, I've got my rounded corners here on my viewports. That's that. And then I was just trying to finish up the kitchen, so I have my perspective on a separate page here because it's a little too big to fit them all in. And then I have the page where there's the plan and the elevation and a little blow up of the drawers there, and an elevation of the side because the side has a bunch of things going on in it, some niches and then kind of hidden storage. That's better. What did you do? I went to the advanced audio properties and I unchecked all of the tracks on the desktop audio and the video capture device. That's me responding to one of the comments about my audio. Alrighty, so that's where I left off, so now I have to wrap my head around where exactly I was in the process here. I guess I see that there are no dimensions here, so maybe I can just start there. So I have a habit of sampling the dimension that I want to use and then going to the dimensions. I honestly don't know if that works, but I do it every time. Okay, so I'll start by just doing a string of dimensions, and I like to just zoom in nice and close. It's pretty chunky because I have it on a lower resolution, and some of this is based on that thick line is something wrong in my model, but I'm using these drawings for quoting purposes, so I don't get too fussed about extremely accurate dimensions, at least at this point, because I know that the millworker is going to make his own shop drawings. Like he'll come and he'll measure everything that's here, because right now there's a bunch of studs that exist without drywall over, so he has to measure all the stud spacing and then create his own set of drawings. But I'm just giving a rough, like everything's gonna be to the closest eighth, I'm sure, and that's more than good enough for these. I know sometimes people get really fussed about getting to the exact line, and you definitely can, but in this particular case I do not have to get to the exact line. And what I mean by that is I know in reality I actually have two lines here, that's why it's showing up chunky. And if I go up close, you'll see that this should actually snap to two separate points, snapping to that corner and snapping to another corner there. Actually not snapping to a corner here, but you can see there is an edge here. But I got it to where I need it here. And now I have to figure out how to sort this mess out. Which I have to say, I think this is my absolute least favorite part of construction drawings. And SketchUp or LayOut doesn't make it any easier. This is one of my top pet peeves about LayOut, is that I'm trying to click on, well, as you saw, I clicked right here, which is on the 4 3/8, but it selects this one instead, so that drives me a little nuts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give these all leaders, and then I'll control it from there on. I'm going to give them 2 segmented leaders, and then make, so that one's good. And this is covering up, this is now Kendall Springer's pet peeve, is that you can't tell, but there's a background on this, and it blocks other things, so, well, I won't get into that. That actually didn't seem to be the problem in that case, but sometimes the background of the dimensions will block other things around it. Okay, so there's those dimensions. And okay, I'll just start going along my vertical dimensions now. This is a little unresolved here. I'll show you what's really happening in the model. It's a bit of a mess. Basically, there's a space between studs here that happens to be exactly the size of wine bottles, so me and my partner decided to do that. But the space is a double height space, so we don't really know where we want it. Like, and this space continues throughout the double space, so we don't know if we want the wine storage to go all the way up to the ceiling, because it's very dramatic and that would be a cool feature, but it also might be a little too much. So I'm not really sure how that'll terminate yet, but I'm gonna pretend like it just terminates on the ground floor just for the sake of pricing, and we'll figure that out later. So I'll go through, and I already have the dimensions of cabinet heights and everything, which I should put an overall dimension. Oh, I do have that overall dimension. If you're wondering why it's not 3 feet exactly, it's because my partner's quite tall and he wanted to raise the countertop by a little bit. He actually wanted to raise it by 2 inches, and this is not showing. It should actually be 3'2". But again, for pricing, that is fine. I'll figure out why I messed that up later. Or maybe he did. He was partly involved in this model. It's always good to hand the blame off to other people, I find. Oh, and you can see that this, I must have it set. I must not have it on automatic dimensions. This turned out to be 9'4", which is clearly not the countertop height. And let's see what the scale is. So it's at 1.5 inches scale, and so I'll just change it to that. You can set it automatically, but I actually like to do it a bit more manually because sometimes it'll scale 1-to-1 off of something on the drawing, and that annoys me more than I just like to set what it is. Okay. So now, we know the countertop height from the other drawings. I'll put it anyway, I guess I should. Even though it'll change a little. Oh, I know what happened actually. We would have put the kitchen in on the kitchen model previously on the subfloor because I hadn't put that in the model yet, but now I have put the finished floor, and the finished floor is 1 5/8, and so that ate up some of the height of the kitchen. So that's why that number is a little off, but I'll fix that later because that would be, well, maybe I should fix it now. Maybe that's a good thing to, actually it doesn't really seem like it would be that much trouble. It'll mess up, I guess, this dimension, but I don't know that it'll mess up that much more, and a little bit of this viewport, so maybe it's just worth doing now. Okay, so I'm gonna go to that elevation. I forget which one it is, so I'll just pop around a few of them. Section. I mean, I guess I could have just remembered which way this is facing, but this house is facing a diagonal, so it's hard for me to wrap my head around actually. Okay, so what I can do is I can grab it all. At least I hope I can grab it all. I'm gonna grab it all and then go into X-ray mode to see if I've accidentally grabbed something else. I grabbed this floating line here. Can't seem to deselect it. There we go. I've also grabbed all of these, so I'll deselect those. And then I seem to have selected something inside. Oh dear. Oh dearie me. I'm gonna unselect and just try again there. But I'm gonna change into perspective so that I'm not stuck in the parallel projection, because that's what I was, so it makes it a little narrower and hard to really grab things. You can see we went a little nuts on this house. We had all the studs planned out, and basically every piece of wood that's in here at some point was in a model. Okay, I guess what I should have done in the first place was set the height that I want this at, but I'll do it now. So this is at the 3 foot. We're at 38 inches. That's how high he wants the counter. And I'm just gonna grab this, lock my blue axis, and hit that. I'm gonna go to just X-ray so I can make sure I'm grabbing that point. And I know it's supposed to be 5/8. I can see on the bottom right hand of my screen how much it's going. 5/8 is correct. And delete that guide. And I'll just get back into that view, double check that it hasn't screwed anything up for me. It all seems fine. Okay, so I'll save that. And then I'll go back into layout, and I did open the SketchUp model from this viewport, so now they're linked and it updates automatically without me having to right click and let's say update. So it should bump this up. Oh, it did it, so it was such a small bump that I didn't even see it with my eyes, but I can see that this dimension changed to 3'2", so we're good to go there. And again, it was such a small change that I didn't really see it, but that, oh, look at that, that almost never happens, that everything just updates perfectly. How wonderful. To think I was dreading making that change. It's just the domino effect of design. Sometimes a client wants something changed and you think about how many things that'll actually have an effect on, and it just hurts you to think about. And they can't understand why the change was so expensive or why it takes so much time. But that's neither here nor there. I guess, oh yeah. Oh, silly me, I forgot to actually bring the gables and the kick down. Right, because that is a little messier than I thought. I'll have to just stretch some of these down. So let me do that. Okay, I've got this all selected, so I can use my Curic tool here, which I have set on a shortcut for Shift S. And so I've grabbed everything from kind of midway here down, and I just go into X-ray mode to make sure that the back vertices of all these got selected, and it looks like at least the ones I can see did, so I'm pretty sure I grabbed all the right things. And I will just grab one of these points and lock my blue axis and pick somewhere on the floor, double checking in the bottom right hand corner that it says 5/8, and it does. So I'm gonna save, move back to layout, and when I see the gap here close, I'll know that the change has gone through. And of course the little blue thing will stop spinning. There we go, great. Okay, so I've maintained the kick height, and basically this lower cabinet got a little deeper. And we kind of still have to work out the exact heights of all these, because we're going to be putting really specific things in there. For example, I think the top drawer is going to be utensils, of course, so it doesn't necessarily need to be 7 7/8 deep, so that might be something I change in the future, but I like the height of this being 1 foot. Anyways, probably getting into too much detail. Okay, so back to here. Right, that's where I was at the 3'2" comment. That's what reminded me that I should just change the height of that. Okay, so I'll continue dimensioning up this wall. This on this side. This is an open niche, which you can see in this kitchen view. Actually, it is a bit hard to see, and I need to update this view a little bit because some of the framing is in here, but actually maybe that's a good reason to generally update that viewport. Now sometimes when I go to update the viewport, I'm not exactly sure what or when I go to update the scene, I don't know exactly what scene it is. So I just go up to SketchUp model and I see that it's a scene called NEP, which is Northeast Perspective. So that'll just make it easier to find when I go into SketchUp. So I've got the Northeast Perspective right there. It's gonna click out of Curic thing. Okay, so I have some framing going on here. This purple stuff is something I modeled in just to represent the framing that exists. I'll just quickly show you. So that's the framing that's there right now, but obviously I don't want that showing, and it's on element millwork. It should not be, so I'm gonna change it to, I have one called framing. And we're gonna make sure in this scene that framing is not showing. So I know it's called something 5. Okay, so it's out of there now. Something has been bothering me. There's in these stairs, which is actually not how the stairs will be designed in the end, but you know what? I shouldn't have. Okay. I'm not going to touch anymore because it's going to end up ruining the camera angle. So before I do anything else, I'm going to just set the camera angle that I want, which is that, because I'm trying to make sure that this niche shows in here. And the fact that that's a shelf, so maybe I'll show it like that. That's probably a bit better. Update. That's why I love SketchUp so much, because there's so much that can be communicated, but often isn't in 2D drawings. Like, it's really hard to tell for a builder, from a builder's perspective. It's hard in this elevation to tell that this is a floating shelf and that this is a niche. There's just no depth to imply that. I could put like a vase or something, but otherwise you can't really tell. You'd be able to tell if you looked over here and you see that it's going across, but I don't know, the brain just functions a lot better when there's 3D, when you can see it all at once. So there it's very clear that this is a floating shelf that meets at an inset niche. Okay, so I updated that already. I just want to now take care of, I'm going to go in here and just hide these lines, because I don't like the way that they were showing through there. Okay, that'll do. I'm going to update, and I'll Control S for save. Go back to layout and then wait for a few updates. Alrighty. Right, I was inspired to do that because of this shelf. So now I'm going to make sure that that updated in here. Okay, it did. If you're not into layout or you're new to layout, just know that this is being displayed in low resolution. That's why it's all choppy, but it does not print out that way. It's just doing that so that it's not too slow. Okay, so I will continue dimensioning this. Start off with a simple task and then a million other things come up. And this is, some people have a hard time with this, but this is one of the things that I dislike about layout too. This shelf is being cut through, so it's a section, so you can't really grab on, because there's technically no edge. No edge or profile or anything in a section cut like that, because this is not where the shelf ends. So I'm going to just visually pick what is the center of that line. And yeah, same thing goes here. So again, I will just, that snapped to the end of that dimension. So right now I'm actually just dimensioning to a dimension, which is a little silly, but I'm going to pick a dimension that, you know, is at least a tidy one, and I know what it is. I could always go back to my SketchUp model and just measure that shelf and manually input them here, but this works for me. So now I'm just checking that I have certain dimensions here. Okay, so I need to show I need to see I need to make sure that I have the right height. Okay, so that matches then. So the bottom height of this opening, which has a door on it, is the same as this one. And I want this to have a leader with one segment. And I also don't need it to go all the way there. I'm grabbing it here because this is something to actually snap on versus... Oh no, I could have snapped onto this actually. I'm going to bring it all the way over here at least, because I know that this is the corner of this, and then pull it up to there so that there aren't lines intersecting everywhere. And then I'll continue upwards. So we have 2 doors here, just so that it's not too long of a door. The items stored up here won't be that accessible, so we've broken it up into 2 doors. And I'll put dimensions for both. Place that out there. Alright, so I think I can add a few notes now. So I'll start here with, this is a fixed panel. And I could say the finish, but what I'm going to say as a general note is that all of the lower millwork and pantry and stairs are natural stained oak, and that all of the uppers are painted white spray finish. So I'm not going to go and make a note on the finish of absolutely everything. So here I'll say shelving for wine storage. And I guess what I didn't do is put dimensions for how big the openings should be for the wine. So I'll put that now. I usually make it 3 inches, but I guess I changed my mind that time when I was doing it. I'll have to double check later if that's the right dimension. I feel like it needs a tiny bit more space than that, but maybe not. I know that I have measured wine bottles before, and they pretty much never are bigger than, the bottoms are never bigger than 2.5 inches from what I recall, so 2 7/8 is then fine, because you're usually not grabbing the big part of the bottle, you're grabbing the neck of it, which is narrower anyway, so like that, so you'd be able to grab it. So I'm going to pull this up a little bit and then stretch the bounding box so that it can fit on the screen. And then I'll carry onward. Actually, I can now, I'll make another leader here. And that's how I do my double leaders. I just make a line, and what I can do is make a line and then sample, sample this guy and then apply it to here. I don't know why it's not working for me right now, but let me put it somewhere else. So I'll sample this and then apply it to this, and they're reversed, so I'll just flip it. I always forget which way is the beginning and which way is the end when I do a line, and that sounds pretty stupid now that I say it out loud, but somehow I just get it backwards every time. So that's a fixed panel going all around the door openings, and then make that bounding box a little smaller so it's not overlapping other bounding boxes, which bounding boxes I hate anyway, at least ones that actively overlap things. So I'm going to move this, press Control at the same time to copy it, and I'm going to move it onto that door so that I can say touch latch door. So I don't want any hardware on it. Even though hardware is probably a slightly more practical solution, but I guess there could probably be like a little finger pull, one of the small ones down there, but I'm just going to leave it this way for now. I'll see if my partner has a strong opinion on it or not. Now I'm trying to copy it, but it's, I think I was in the group there, so that's why I couldn't copy it. So actually, instead of doing that, I will just do the same where I'm going to make, okay, so that was the beginning. That's the end, and now I'll see if I can, if I got it right. I don't know why, but this just doesn't want to be sampled. I think it's confused as to what I'm actually applying the sample to, which is fine. See, I got the beginning and the end wrong again. So I start at the beginning there. Okay, so, oh, I see now. Okay, so I'll do it backwards. Instead of starting here, I'm going to start, because when you make your leader, you start with where you want the leader. And then I'll just try sampling it while it's on here again. Oh, it worked. You may be wondering why there's a big white triangle there. It's because it has the fill under shape style. It has the fill in there, which these do too, but you don't see it because it's just a straight line, so you can just add that. And then I need to add another note for this opening. Which is, I'm going to call it an open niche. Actually, the other thing I should do, so this shelf is, you see the shelf is 1 foot, but the niche does not go all the way to the wall. And so I'm just going to dimension it as such because the niche itself is not, this should add up to 12, so there's a 1/4 inch off here somewhere. So I'm going to make sure that, okay, there we have it. I was really just going for 12 because it was a nice neat number, but we'll just be accurate to what's on the actual drawing, or in the model. Okay, so if I was a millworker, would I understand what I'm looking at? Fixed panel. Oh, the last thing that I need to add here is the door swings, just so they know how these doors are swinging. So I've just copied it over from there. I use my little gizmo here to bring it up to there, my stretch box to stretch it up to there, and there we go. I've just got a perfect one now, and then I'll use my gizmo again to copy this over in the correct place. So I put it in the top corner so I can place it in the top corner here as well. And these aren't the same size, so I'll just resize it a little bit. That's all I needed to do. Great. Okay, door, touch latch, open niche, fixed panel, shelving for wine storage. This is, dimension is a little messed up. Just gonna move it around a little. Okay, looks good to me. I'm also, well, I might do a separate, I haven't put any dimensions or anything specific about the design of the stairs here because they're actually not completely finalized. And we're not really sure who's going to be building them, us or the millworker. But you know what, just for the sake of pricing, I'll just put dimensions on here. That string dimension didn't work because I accidentally double-clicked somewhere else, just as a weird spazoid thing. And yeah, I guess I don't really know how to do drawings for this. Maybe that's all I need, maybe not. I'll just put a note. How about that? So, I guess it's not really a spiral staircase. Oh yeah, I guess it is spiral. Okay, I'll call it spiral stair. Square nosing. What's going on in my head is that this stair is appearing as though there's no seam or tread or anything, and the only way you can do that is by mitering the corners, because you don't see a seam here, you don't see a seam here, so these corners have to be mitered. But I don't know if that's such a good idea for the stairs, because it's really hard to, like with something that has so much movement that is, as a staircase does, having a mitered corner with wood as it's expanding, contracting, and being stepped on all the time, it probably wouldn't maintain as a very clean corner for too long. So I'm not sure what to put now that I think about it. It might be able to maintain an okay if the miter has, I forget what it's called, like a bird's beak or something in it, where basically it's not to the very, very edge, but it's actually, the miter starts at about 1/8 of an inch in, but then I'm going to put with mitered bird's beak corners, and if the millworker says, what the heck is that, we'll just talk about it. And spitball and come up with some ideas that he thinks work and that we're happy with, and so on and so forth. I'm also now just thinking that I need to figure out whether I want these to be touch latch panels up here or have a little finger pull. I'm going to put a note, because as you see I don't have hardware on these doors either. So I could just put a note saying touch latch, all doors and drawers touch latch. So it's clear, because they do have to price that a little differently. So I'll put a couple of notes then on this drawing. Like some text. Okay. General notes. Number 1. All drawers and doors to be on touch latch hardware. This is justifying the wrong way, so I'm going to highlight it and move it over that way. I'm gonna just bold up this and continue. Okay. All lower cabinets, pantry, stairs, and floating shelf to be oak veneer with natural finish. Do I have any other notes? That's it for now. I'll add them as I go if I need. Just put them there. Alright, I'm just gonna go ahead and say that I don't feel like working on this anymore, and there's still a bathroom to do, so I'm gonna move on to the bathroom. And now, the tricky bit is that the bathroom is in a different model. So I'm gonna copy this page and call it bathroom. And so as you can see, the kitchen 2 and bathroom has the same stuff on it, but I'm just using it as a spring point. So I'll take all this off, and then I'm gonna, I forget now, I don't usually do 2 different models in one set, so I might have to, okay, so I'm gonna relink this model reference. And so I'm gonna go into the file that I know has the bathroom model. Oh, look, it's at the top there. And just so you know, this model is not super layout ready. I did it as a concept a while back when me and my partner were trying to figure out how to design the bathroom. So hopefully what you get to see here is me turning this into a layout ready model. It might be part of the way there because I've gotten in the habit of kind of doing that anyway. But what I'm going to do now, I have to get this model open, so I'm going to use this viewport as the place to open it from. So you right click on it and then you say open with SketchUp, and then I'll wait for that to open up. And then anytime I save things from there, they'll update automatically in that viewport. And you'll see all my pop-ups now coming up. Whew. So one of the first things that I'm gonna have to do in this model is create some alternate materials, because now I have materials for rendering. But in my drafted plans, as you saw, I have black and white patterns. So I'll start with that. Yeah, I'll start with that. Okay, so I'm going to create a new material called, I see this one's called wood fine something something wood fine 006 underscore color underscore 3K, and then I'll say black and white. That's usually my naming convention for the black and white versions of these colored materials. So I'm going to change the material to, I have a folder called draft mode, and it gives me a few patterns that I've put in here. Can't tell which one's which, but let's try that one. Okay. And then I'll make an alternate one for this tile here. So let's call it 24 by 48 grigio di basalto 1 and black and white. And I guess I didn't explain why I'm making alternate materials, but the reason is that let me first find this and then I will explain. Grigio di basalto. Okay. The reason is that I had material modes developed, a plugin where you can create different versions, I call them different modes of your materials, so that for me specifically, so that I could have rendering materials and drafting materials in the same model, and I can just kind of toggle between them as I please. So I'm going to call this one render mode. And I'll put in the materials that, I think I might be able to sample them. Yeah, okay. That one, for this, is the stone back here. And if you just sample them, then it'll pop up as the first option, as you can see there. And actually it's just is just those two for now. Okay, now what I have to do is create an extra column, and the extra column will be my other mode. So I'll call this draft mode. Create, and then I pick what I want this to change into when I go into this mode. So I want this wood to actually be my wood pattern. So I have to find that now, unfortunately. Okay, I know it's called wood something. There it is, the black and white version of it. And then this grigio di basalto, it's right there beside the actual one. Okay, so now what's in render mode is what's seen on the screen. So when I go over to draft mode, it's going to change everything into these patterns. And so now this is more construction document friendly. I didn't change this pattern here. It's a plaster pattern, but it's already black and white, so no need to change that. What I'm seeing is this wood pattern is very big, so I'm actually going to substitute that. I'm going to find that material. Or maybe, you know, I won't really be rendering this anytime soon, so it's actually just easier for me to change. Oh. Weird. Oh, I guess it took the color. Never tried. I had no idea you could do that actually, like apply a color on top of a texture. Crazy. Well, you learn something new every day. I still don't fully understand what happened. I can't recreate it. Right, what I wanted to do is change the scale. So I'll keep going until I feel happy with 36. Let's try 32. That seems alright to me. It's pretty clear that's a wood pattern. Alrighty. Okay, now let's get ourselves ready for layout. So I'm going to need northeast, south, west elevations. Wait, no I won't. I'm just doing the millwork. So I'm just going to need really just the front view. Front view and a little perspective. Okay, so that's what I'll work on. Okay, now I'm going to think really hard which direction this is. But I don't think I actually set the model up to be in the right direction. So that won't help me. Now, I don't know where my section cut is. I know that I have one here. I'm just going to open my outliner because it's still not doing that by default for some reason. And just so you know, I don't actually use my outliner that much. The only thing I really use it for is my section cuts. Oh, it looks like, oh no. Wait, this is south elevation, so I should, oh yeah, okay, south elevation, so it is actually cutting through it, so let's see why it's not, oh, it's just not visible or active. Why isn't it active? Well, okay, and then I'll align the view and get to where it needs to be, deselect, and update that. Really, I'm just updating this just to document which one this one is because this is not the one that I need. But if this is south, then I know I need the north one because that's the opposite side of that wall. So gonna north elevation, active cut. There we go. That's the wall I want. I see that a few things are in the way. I'm gonna update it right now, just so that it's the section cut is updated to be active. So I know I need it about there. And what's missing now is my styles. So normally for drafting people will turn off their textures, but because I have textures that are black and white, I can actually put it in a rendered texture. So now you see it's all nice and pretty. Don't love where my tile seams are sitting. Not super important, but I feel like it kind of interrupts all the other lines. So I am gonna reposition the texture. We won't be using a tile this big, so it's actually, this isn't even really the tile that we're using, so so it doesn't really make sense to be using it right now, but you know what, I'm just gonna make it so that it's, so that the vertical seams don't show up at all for now. That's pretty close there. Let's see how I did. Oh yeah, okay. I didn't update that, so it took my textures away again, but there we go. I'm gonna update it now so it doesn't get rid of them again. Perfect, beautiful, wonderful. Alrighty. I will now, okay, so the plan is the other thing I need to make sure is in order. I guess some things, if you see this blue stuff, it means that you have a component that is not really a solid. Because if there's a section, it should be showing as a solid section. Obviously something's going on there, so let's investigate that. Okay, so this is claiming to be a solid, but let's use the solid inspector to see if that's true. No, it's not. It has some stray edges and surface borders, so let's fix that. It says it couldn't fix them all. There's one surface border left. I don't know what that means. But let's just isolate this and take a look. Oh, okay, a whole face is not closed. So let's close that up, see if that does anything. This is a stray edge. This is also not necessary. I don't know if that really stops it from being a solid, but okay, that looks good. Let me inspect it again. Fix all. So there still was a stray edge, but I was able to fix it because of what I'd done, I guess. So when I'm in this section cut now, so now you see how instead of seeing the blue interior, I'm seeing a solid section. So to me that looks pretty good. One thing that's a little confusing is my towel here. I do, well, no, I don't really need to show that. I'm gonna hide it. I need to hide it again. I'm just gonna update that camera location and then hide the towel and update that. I think I also really don't need to have the sconces in here. It might be a bit confusing to look at, so just gone below them. I don't know why this door is crooked, but not relevant to the millwork. Okay, it looks like the plan looks fine. I'm just gonna be extra sure, give it an extra think because it's a lot easier to make these changes in SketchUp before going into layout than already being in layout and having to go back and forth. Okay, I do see a few small things that are not a big deal, but might as well just fix them up. There's an overlap in the panel here, so I'll just go in and I'll isolate this guy. I see this overlap here, so I'll grab it and then I'll be able to see here. I'll just go into X-ray mode and I see it's there. It's not the most clear-cut thing in the world, but if I just press escape once, then the rest of the component will come into view, and that all looks alright to me. Okay, one last time, just taking a look at the plan view. And everything looks fine there to me now, so I'll go back to the north elevation, just make sure it all looks good. We've actually already built this niche thing. It's kind of it's the medicine cabinet that's sitting within a built-out wall because we kind of wanted to use that extra space rather than, because I sort of had this epiphany that the majority of the space above a vanity is actually wasted. So I wanted to use a bit of that. Okay, this looks pretty ready. I'm just going to go ahead and save this file. And then when we go back to layout, we'll see it spinning and now it's updating. So now I'm going to just pick which, oh, you know, one thing I forgot about. This is a little confusing in this scene. Hold on. Update. And save. I guess I probably should make an alternate material for the stone because it's pretty dark. I don't know how much I care. You know, I will do it. Okay, so I just need to make one more material. I gotta see what material this is. Dark granite. Okay, I will then create another dark granite, black and white. Okay, and then when I'm in, oh wait, I didn't actually change the texture. So let's see what I've got here. I just need something that's not dark, so it could really be any texture. Let's see what I've got in draft mode. I guess it could be kind of like a veiny marble. So I'm going to go back to material modes and I'm going to go back into render mode because you actually, if you want something to show up in draft mode, once you add this, it doesn't change the render mode version of it. You'd have to go back to render mode and then back to draft mode. So it's better just to be in draft mode in the first place to not confuse yourself. So I'm going to, oh, right. Oh, no, I see. I actually don't know why this happens, but there is some kind of issue there where this one's called, they both have the same name. I don't know why that happened, but it did, so, oh. Okay, I should try to find dark granite. Now this is all alphabetized. Dark granite. And then I'll just go to my materials. Oh, there's another one called granite light gray. Since that's just there already, I think I'll just pick that. What was it called again? I think it's called granite light gray. So G. Oh, interesting. Okay, what I will do is well, now I can't even find my original granite. No, it was this one. Okay. But for whatever reason, oh, my granite black and white. I'm going to go into the edit version of this because something went weird there. I'm not really sure what. I'll just pick that again, and I think that will have fixed it, I hope, because that dark granite's in there. And now I'm going to pick this granite black and white. Great. Okay, now that's set, so I'm going to go back into draft mode, and that has updated that. So now we don't have this dark thing anymore. I realize we still have the dark line around there, but it's just a line, so not that big of a deal. I could make an alternate material for, actually no, I will. That'll be good. So in order to add one more material, I'm just going to add another row. And let's see what this thing is. Oh, it's not working. Oh, I have to press Alt and Paint Bucket, and then it'll pop up. Ooh, I should have been in draft mode when I was doing this. Okay, so I'm now just going to pick a generic light gray. Or even a white, I guess. Chrome polished, sure. It's a nice light gray. Okay, so I'll go back to draft mode, and you see that that is now like that. I could have picked a slightly darker gray, I guess, but that's good. And now I will Control S for save. And back to here. It's going to update a few things. You saw that. Oh, I guess the black for the sconces was also the granite material. Interesting. Okay, now I will set my scenes. So the plan was the first one that I wanted to get down. The one thing I should check, actually, I don't think I set the plan to have textures in it, which I did kind of want. So let me change the, there we go. I just wanted to be clear that the wood for the vanity, or sorry, the top for the vanity is wood as well. So I'll update that, update scene, file, save. Let that update. And I'll spin this around. Oh, should have done it 90 degrees so you can still type a direction of it. It's this, yes. And now it's hiding up here. And I'm gonna block out this this weirdly crooked door here. And one thing you'll notice, there's this gray stripe here, and I wasn't even really noticing it when I was doing this because I'm so used to it. But this is a V-Ray thing, so it's a V-Ray setting, and it's just, it's like a it's called make frame, I think, in V-Ray, but I have to go into V-Ray now to get rid of it. So if you're ever experiencing that issue, just know that it's a V-Ray thing. So in my V-Ray settings, the last time that I was rendering this, I had the camera set to safe frame. That's what it's called, safe frame. So when it's rendering it, it changes the view. But now that I'm here, I just remembered I gotta update that. I don't think that makes any difference, but also going to close V-Ray. I wanted to have a perspective of the vanity, just so it's clear how this L shape works and everything. And there's too many things in my way here, so because like working with small bathrooms can be a little difficult. Sometimes it's good to actually make the walls separate. You can always go into the wall components and hide the faces of the walls themselves, but it's not quite as effective. So I find it easy to make the wall, this is mostly for small bathrooms, but I find it works to just doing a few little things. Just eliminating a wall, like a back wall, can really help you get a view that you want. So that one's pretty good here. And I can't see the top here, but when I'm in the viewport, I will be able to extend it upward, at least from what I recall. So I'm gonna update that, and then I'll save it. And so this should also get rid of that, which it did. And I want this viewport to be, normally I prefer using, well that's what, you know what, instead of saying it, I'll do it. I prefer using, oh, what do you call it when you make, I'll just do it. Okay, so first I'm going to take the stroke off of here, and then I'm going to make a shape around this bathroom. Or I'm going to make the shape for where I want the the viewport to be cut out from. So because this door's crooked, it's making a little weird, but I actually do want to start come now. Okay, fine, I'll start it from here. So I like the thickness of the walls to not show. And I'll straighten that out in a second. Okay, so now we have it set to dash. I'm going to make it that, and I'm going to make it a bit thicker to one point, and then I'm going to clipping mask. That's the word that I could not get out of my mouth. So that's the clipping mask. Okay, you have to just show the stroke there. And so that just clips exactly the area that you want to be showing rather than showing wall thickness. And there is a wall implied here, kind of around a doorway. One thing I'm going to fix is that this, and then you can double click into any shape really to edit it, and then I don't know why it wasn't clipping there, so I just had to do a bit of a workaround. Okay, so that's our plan. And maybe I should have done the plan a little smaller now that I think about it, because I want to put the, might have been nice to put the elevation below it, but you know what? That might just be cramming too much information into one thing. So you know what I'll do? I'll use this as a page where I can also put my little perspective. So I'll release this from the clipping mask because I don't really need a clipping mask for a perspective, at least not this particular one. So I just accidentally deleted the viewport, but I wanted to delete the clipping mask. So I will make it a bit smaller so it's manageable. I'm just pressing Alt at the same time. Oh, no, that didn't work. Normally when you press Alt, it does things about center, but for some reason it really messed that one up. Okay, so I'm going to set the scene to the perspective I just created. And I could pull it up a little, could pull it down. I do want it to generally be a smaller scale, so the way to do that is, right now it's set to preserve scale, and that means preserve it on resize, so I actually don't have an excellent, I feel like this is not a great thing, the way that SketchUp has it, but it might just be that I'm doing it wrong, but basically I just get it to the scale that I want, and then I say preserve scale, and then I start pulling it to where I want it to show exactly. And so I just wanted to pull it to the edge of the doorway right there. And so that gives, I think if I were a millworker, I would definitely understand the intention of the client here and what this is supposed to look like. I see that this piece of art is here and it's colored, so I'm just going to clip that out. And I'm going to stop here for today because it's been over an hour and I am starving, so I'm going to save this. And I will continue next time. So thanks for tuning in, and if you are someone who's interested in getting good at SketchUp and LayOut, come talk to us. You can go to our website. It's www.sloped.io, or you can email us at info@sloped.io. We also have an Instagram page, sloped.official. And we can help with all sorts of things. We help businesses do conversions. Like say everyone is set up to do AutoCAD, and that's just how everyone does all of the drawings, but they're hoping to do SketchUp and LayOut at some point in the future, but they can't wrap their heads around how they can sort of flip the whole office to do that, because it's a lot of work and it interrupts projects. But if an office does want to do that, then that's something that we can help with, where we take existing projects, we convert them all to SketchUp and LayOut so that you don't get interrupted in your workflow. And then we at the same time train you how to use SketchUp and LayOut so that you can continue onward with these projects with using SketchUp and LayOut. And then when new ones come up, you already know what you're doing. And then offer continued support throughout. And also if you need freelancers to help with certain projects, we can have them help and just be on what do you call it, like on-demand support through video calls or however you need. So get in touch if you need that, or if you're a freelancer and you are good at SketchUp and LayOut, then get in touch. We have businesses that need your help. Thanks for watching.